The air over Hiiumaa, Estonia's second-largest island, is usually quiet, a serene expanse where the Baltic Sea meets the sky in a tranquil embrace. The island is known for its untouched beauty and calm, a place where time seems to slow down. But on the morning of September 19, 2025, that peace was shattered like glass. The tranquility of the dawn was abruptly replaced by a sense of impending doom. The roar of jet engines filled the sky. Two Russian Su-35 fighter jets, sleek and menacing, tore overhead with a thunderous roar that echoed across the island. They had crossed an invisible but sacred border, breaching Estonia's sovereign airspace, a NATO member. This was no accident, it was a deliberate message, a bold statement of defiance. On the ground, confusion turned to fear. Fishermen looked up from their nets, families ran to their windows, and the once peaceful morning was now filled with anxiety and uncertainty. The jets were in Estonian airspace for less than 2 minutes, but in those fleeting moments, everything changed. The air was charged with tension, and the island held its breath. Alarms sounded in Tallinn, Brussels, and Washington. Estonia's military scrambled its alert systems, but NATO's Baltic air policing mission was already airborne, ready to respond to the provocation. German Eurofighter Typhoons intercepted the intruders, confirming the breach. The skies over the Baltic had become a stage for a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. The Russian jets flew with transponders off, invisible to civilian air traffic, filing no flight plan, a ghost flight, a direct challenge to NATO. It was a bold move, testing the alliance's resolve. This act, lasting just 118 seconds, pushed Europe closer to a dangerous edge. It was a test of nerve and resolve, a moment that could redefine the balance of power in the region. Estonia's government responded immediately, seeing this as a threat to national security and regional stability. The world watched and waited, holding its collective breath. Estonia's next move would be critical, signaling whether the alliance stood strong or showed cracks. The small Baltic nation was now at the center of a global storm, its actions scrutinized by allies and adversaries alike. The question, how would NATO respond? The answer would shape the future of European security, determining whether peace would prevail or tensions would escalate further. The red sky over Hiiumaa was a warning, a vivid reminder of the stakes at play. The stakes had never been higher. Estonia was no longer just a dot on the map, it was the front line, a symbol of resilience and determination in the face of adversity. In the face of this threat, Estonia turned to its shield, the North Atlantic Treaty. It invoked Article 4, a formal call for help, not war, but urgent consultation. Article 4 allows any NATO member to request a meeting when its security is threatened. It's a diplomatic emergency brake, forcing all 32 nations to consult and find a unified response. For Estonia, with just 1.3 million people, this is vital. It ensures they're not alone. Article 4 has been used before during moments of great tension. Each time it signals to aggressors that the alliance is watching. Estonia's decision to invoke Article 4 was deliberate and serious. The Estonian ambassador to NATO made the request. Russia's behavior is a direct threat. The North Atlantic Council convened an emergency session in Brussels. The world now looked to NATO for its answer. The alliance's credibility was on the line. To truly grasp the gravity of the situation, look closely at Estonia's place on the map. Nestled in the northeast corner of Europe, it sits at a crossroads of history and geopolitics. A small country on the Baltic Sea, sharing a long and tense border with Russia, Estonia is NATO's front line, the very edge of the alliance's eastern flank. For centuries, this strategic location has been both a blessing and a curse, shaping Estonia's destiny through waves of conflict and change. Estonia's history is one of struggle for freedom, marked by decades of Soviet occupation and a determined fight to reclaim independence in the late 20th century. These memories are never far away. They shape modern Estonia, where the people guard their sovereignty fiercely and remain vigilant against any threat. NATO membership, achieved in 2004, is their guarantee. Estonia will never stand alone again. The alliance is a promise of collective defense. Estonia is a digital leader, pioneering e-governance and cybersecurity, but its people are realists, always aware of the risks on their doorstep. Russia's invasion of Ukraine was a brutal reminder of the threat that still looms. For Estonia, the danger is not theoretical, it is immediate and close. Estonia supports Ukraine with aid and solidarity, knowing that their own fate could be next if aggression goes unchecked. Defense is taken seriously here. A well-trained military, a large volunteer defense league, and a national strategy built on NATO's presence and rapid response. Allied troops on Estonian soil are a tripwire. Any aggression would trigger a wider conflict, drawing in the full force of NATO. This is the reality of being on NATO's edge, where peace is protected by constant vigilance and international cooperation. The danger is real, but so is the shield. Estonia's resolve is unwavering, and their security is collective, shared with allies who stand ready. The world is watching the tip of NATO's spear. Estonia stands ready, prepared for whatever may come. The alliance stands with them. The stakes are clear and the commitment to defend Estonia is stronger than ever. The incident was precise and calculated. At 9:43 a.m., NATO radar detected two unidentified aircraft speeding toward Estonian airspace. No identification codes, no response to radio calls, immediate red flags. The targets flew directly over Hiiumaa, their violation intentional. NATO's quick reaction alert launched two German Eurofighter Typhoons from Amari airbase. The German pilots identified the intruders, two Russian Su-35s, armed and flying in tight formation. The breach was brief but undeniable, 1 minute 58 seconds over Estonian territory. The Typhoons shadowed the Russian jets, documenting everything. No hostile action, but the message was clear. Evidence, radar, eyewitness accounts, video, confirmed the violation. This was no navigational error. The location Hiiumaa is strategic, a direct challenge to Estonia and NATO's air defense. The message was sent. The alliance's response was underway. Estonia's response was swift and firm. Prime Minister Kaja Kallas addressed the nation. "This is not just a violation of our airspace, but a clear act of intimidation. We will not be intimidated." Estonia invoked Article 4 and stood united with its allies. The Estonian Ministry of Foreign Affairs summoned the Russian ambassador, calling the action a blatant provocation. NATO headquarters in Brussels released a statement of solidarity. Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg condemned the breach, reaffirming NATO's commitment to defend every inch of Allied territory. The North Atlantic Council agreed to increase air patrols over the Baltic region. Support poured in from Washington and the European Union. Russia, as expected, denied everything, claiming routine training flights. The world now faced two competing narratives. For Estonia and its allies, the evidence was clear. Alliance unity was more important than ever. This incident sends ripples across Europe. For NATO, it's a test of credibility. Its response will be watched by allies and adversaries alike. A weak response could invite more provocations. A strong one reinforces the alliance's security guarantee. Increasing air patrols is just the first step. Allies discuss deploying more troops and naval assets to bolster defenses. For the Baltic states, this is a moment of heightened anxiety and renewed resolve. The incident brings the threat from theory to reality. Schools review emergency plans, governments warn against disinformation, and citizens prepare. Across Europe, the war in Ukraine already brought conflict close. Now the threat feels even nearer. The incident is a wake-up call. Peace in Europe cannot be taken for granted. It requires vigilance and unity. Globally, this event adds tension to already strained relations with Russia. The outcome will shape the global balance of power. A small breach in the sky has triggered a massive geopolitical tremor. NATO's response sparked debate. Some argue Article 4 consultations aren't enough, concrete action is needed. Critics call for permanent military deployments to the Baltics, believing only strength deters Russia. Russia's denial fuels information warfare, making diplomacy difficult. NATO faces a dilemma: counter disinformation without escalating to direct conflict. Every military move risks a counter-move. A miscalculation could have catastrophic consequences. Western European leaders urge caution and dialogue, wary of closing diplomatic off-ramps. The alliance must balance deterrence with prudence. The current approach, a mix of consultations and increased patrols, is a compromise. It aims to be firm, not reckless. But critics warn this middle path may not secure lasting peace. The debate continues within NATO. The stakes remain high. In Tallinn, the mood is calm, but resolute. The city's medieval streets and bustling squares carry on as usual. But beneath the surface, a new sense of seriousness has taken hold. Life goes on, but conversations have changed. People talk about the incident in serious tones. Friends and families gather in cafes, their voices hushed, sharing concerns and updates. Younger Estonians raised in the EU and NATO now face a harsh reality check. Many are glued to their phones, reading the latest news, trying to make sense of what's happening. Many seek ways to contribute. Enrollment in the Defense League rises, as citizens look for ways to help protect their country and support their communities. First aid and civil defense courses fill up. People of all ages are learning new skills, determined to be ready for any emergency. In rural areas near the Russian border, tension is more immediate, with residents feeling the weight of uncertainty more acutely. Especially in towns like Narva with large Russian-speaking populations where neighbors watch each other closely, wondering what comes next. Most just want peace, but uncertainty lingers. People gather quietly, hoping for stability and reassurance. The government works to prevent division, reaching out to all communities and urging unity in the face of external threats. Officials emphasize the threat is from the Kremlin, not Russian people, making it clear that Estonia stands against aggression, not against its own diverse citizens. This event reinforces Estonian resilience. Communities come together, showing solidarity and support for one another. People are not panicking, they're preparing. Families quietly organize emergency supplies, making sure they're ready for whatever may come. Trust in government, military, and allies remains strong. The sight of NATO and EU flags brings reassurance to many. Stocking up on essentials is seen as practical, not fearful. Supermarkets remain orderly, with people helping each other find what they need. Broad-based national defense means everyone has a role. Training sessions are open to all, from students to retirees. From fishermen to tech workers, all are on watch. Every profession, every community is part of the nation's defense. The nation is united in quiet determination. People stand together, ready to face challenges as one. Estonia's spirit of self-reliance endures. Families and neighbors support each other, drawing on traditions of resourcefulness. The front line is everywhere. In every city, town, and village, Estonians remain vigilant, determined to protect their way of life. The sky over Estonia is quiet again, but the silence is heavier. The incident was a wake-up call for Estonia and NATO. Freedom must be guarded every day, it's a matter of survival. Estonia's response was clear and strong. Invoke Article 4, trust the alliance, bring the threat into the open. Even the smallest member has a powerful voice. NATO's unity is the greatest deterrent. The path forward is vigilance and long-term commitment. Real defense means investing in militaries, countering disinformation, and keeping the alliance united. The shadow of aggression can be held back by solidarity. NATO's strength is in shared values: freedom, democracy, rule of law. Estonia's security depends on its readiness and its friends' commitment. September 19th was a test of nerve, procedure, and unity. Estonia and its allies met that test. The message to Moscow: this airspace, this land, this freedom is protected. The nation remains on watch, resilient and resolute. The world has been warned.